Hello, everybody. Thank you guys very much for watching this. It is very much appreciated. I am Orlando Ruiz Jr. Welcome to another classic movie review. In closing out this series of movie reviews in my tribute to Black History Month, talking about black stories and black films all throughout the month of February, I want to talk about a film that isn't going to be easy to talk about because, as a father myself, these kinds of stories really get to me, and knowing all the more that this is based on something that really happened, when you're watching the film and our main character keeps looking at the time and it gets closer and closer to that moment, that dreadful final scene, it is something that is kind of hard to put into words for me, but for all intents and purposes, I'm going to try because I think, it deserves it. And so I'm talking about 2013's Fruitvale Station. This film marks the directorial debut of one of our great filmmakers working in cinema today, Ryan Coogler, director of Black Panther, Sinners, also the first Creed of 2015, and also marks the first time he collaborated with the very talented Michael B. Jordan, who prior to this was known for his roles in the television series of Friday Night Lights, as well as his role on The Wire, and in his first leading man role. This film attempts to depict the last day of the life of 22-year-old Oscar Grant III, a resident of Hayward, California, who on New Year's Eve 2008 was with friends and his girlfriend were coming back from San Francisco on the BART. For those that don't know, that's the Bay Area Rapid Transit train that takes you through different cities through the Bay Area, and something happens on the train, an altercation. He's pulled off the train by the BART police and meets a tragic end. From that point on, most of what we see in the film is compiled from research from the director Ryan Coogler, from news reports to interviews with those who knew Oscar Grant or people that were with him at certain points on his last day, like his girlfriend Sophina Mensa, as well as Wanda Johnson in the film, played by Academy Award winner Octavia Spencer. She was great, by the way, in 2011's The Help, and rightly deserved her Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. But in this film, she's great as Wanda, and makes it all the more tragic that the last time she saw her son was when they were celebrating her birthday. Like most films that are based on true events, there are certain creative liberties taken by the filmmakers in the interest of dramatic effect or to fill in certain gaps in the day when no one was around Oscar Grant. Throughout the film, you see him in a series of kind acts and good deeds, from helping somebody at a store where he worked at to help them get a recipe for frying fish, to helping out an injured dog who was just hit by a car. And so many of us will never know what was real and what wasn't. But the filmmaking throughout the movie is fantastic for a first time filmmaker. The film also gives us a ticking clock in the form of text messages throughout the film from start to finish. Oscar makes these text messages where you see the time, and every time you see the time get later into the night, it kind of builds this feeling of dread. And when you get to those final moments when they're finally on the BART, you know something bad's going to happen. The anxiety kind of goes up while watching it, and it really is tough to watch, even though you know you're watching a movie. For me, watching this film, it is kind of easy to just get lost in it and even forget I'm watching a movie because of how effective the filmmaking is and how great the acting in the movie is, especially because I have a 4-year-old daughter, and in the film, you have Ariana Neal playing little Tatiana Grant, who in the final moments when he says goodbye to her, you know he's never going to see her again. It just reminded me of, my little girl, and made me think of every time I say goodbye to her, what if that's my last time? And so, yeah, this can be a really hard watch if you're a dad with a little one. I gotta say, actors Kevin Durand and Chad Michael Murray, who play the two main BART cops there that night at Fruitvale Station, who were primarily responsible for what led to the death of Oscar Grant, do a great job at making you hate these guys. Their acting is very good. Oscar Grant was on the floor, face down, with a knee on his back, his hands in handcuffs, gets shot in the back in the most cowardly way. But do they call it murder? No. They found the guy guilty, but they call it manslaughter. They sentenced him to 2 years. He gets out in 11 months. 11 months he got out. And so, yeah, you can give the guy the benefit of the doubt and say maybe he really did think he was getting his taser. But at that point, do you really need to tase somebody who's on the floor, face down, in handcuffs? Like, why? I just don't get it. I don't think any of us will ever get it. And you can say, well, maybe he did shoot him with hate in his heart. Well, either way, the truth is, many of us will never know the truth. Many of us don't know what was going on in that guy's head. Maybe he was scared or whatever. But either way, it was a bitch move, a cowardly move, and it goes on way too often. Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Dontre Hamilton, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd. That's just a few that I can name off the top of my head. The list goes on and on. And I'm so sick of, if you do say to somebody, Black Lives Matter, there's always that chump, that idiot that says, you know what? All lives matter, buddy. Oh, yeah? Well, what they're really talking about is white people. And you know what? White people are not being victimized by racial profiling. There are certain demographics that get that kind of attention, and everybody knows that this kind of film is important, and this is an important film, regardless of how much the filmmakers take creative license to steer our feelings and manipulate us to believe Oscar Grant did one kind act after another on his last day, though we'll maybe never know the real truth of what went on that last day and all those moments where there wasn't somebody with them to account for all those times when, all these random acts of kindness that go on. But either way, it's a very well made film, very well acted, beautifully directed, a well told story told through great camera work and great dialogue. And it's a movie that does merit watching, that should be respected. An excellent film. 4 stars, Fruitvale Station. Thank you guys very much for sticking with me all the way to the end of this video and for watching this classic movie review. I very much appreciate it. If you're into this kind of thing, if you're into movies, if you're new to the channel, and if you like what you see, subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications for more reviews from me coming out very soon. If you are a returning viewer, I thank you for your support and your views. It's always appreciated. Please don't forget to comment, share, like. It always helps. And I'll see you guys on the next classic movie review. I hope you had a good Black History Month and a good February. Till next time, everybody take care of each other. Peace out. God bless.